welcome to episode 18 of our second series. As always, I'm joined by the wonderful Mags and Sarah. Hi, girls.
Hey, everybody.
How are we both?
Yeah, I'm pretty all right, actually. All things considered.
Can't complain.
Yeah.
Now, we are recording this on a Tuesday, which is, of course, Bake Off Tuesday for you, Mags. What's on the menu today?
Well, by special request, it's going to have to be a brownie. So, yeah, so I think it's just going to be a Mars bar brownie because that seems to be the favourite one with people. So I make this because I only want a piece, but then there's the other 12 pieces that have to go somewhere. So here, have some.
Well, you've got volunteers ready and waiting over here, Mags.
Well, I've already started planning what you two have asked for and how I'm going to do this. I'm going to have to buy a silicone tray that's rectangular shaped. And it's in the planning.
We cannot wait, can we, Sarah?
No, it's going to be great.
Well, I mean, tell your face that, but...
Sorry, I was miles away. I was just coming back. Just like put me out of a slumber.
Don't worry, Mags, I'll have them all to myself. Sarah, first things first, for anyone not watching on YouTube, Sarah's got curly, luscious locks today, and apparently this is all natural. Some of us have to use curling tongs to get this look.
It is natural. You too could look like Bon Jovi on any given day. If you go for a run in the rain and then don't dry your hair.
It could be worse. I look like Rod Stewart's love child when it happens to me.
And I'm saying nothing.
Sarah, how have you been? What have you been up to so far this week?
Yeah, good. I mean, what day are we on? Tuesday? Not a lot. Just work. Went for a run today. Got rained all over, and that's about it.
Nice. Well, pretty productive then, given that it's only Tuesday.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for joining us as always. Now, as lockdowns eased, we're giving every listener and viewer the chance to get 10% off at the leading online netball shop, Netball UK. Plus, if you use the code with an order before the end of July, one lucky winner will get the entire cost of their order refunded. Save now and you could get your order on us. Netball Nation, powered by Netball UK. Get the code at mynetballnation.com. Now, the ANZ in New Zealand's flying by with round 4 now complete, and there were some exciting games, including the league's first ever draw. We'll also be chatting about some big Super Netball news. What have we learned from lockdown? We'll be looking back over the big talking points and also answering some of your questions. But for the last time before the show takes a break for a while, we welcome our special guest, who Sarah in particular knows pretty well, so I'm expecting a huge round of applause now. It's Stacey Francis! Woo-hoo! Where's your party poppers, Sarah? Come on.
That was good. That was excited from me.
That was very, very good. Stacey, thank you so much for joining us all the way from Perth in Australia. What time is it there right now?
6:40, so dinner time.
Right, well, we won't keep you too long because if you're anything like us, dinner time is a very important time.
Emma, we've got to say, because I thought we were going to do this a bit later today.
Right.
And then it was going to run into MasterChef time, and I was actually going to go mad because I was going to say, Stacey, if she does this recording over MasterChef, when every time I ring her at that time, she's like, "You know what time it is? I'll call you back."
That is brilliant. Well, thankfully, Sarah, for the avoidance of any tension, we are doing it now, pre MasterChef.
I kind of get where she's coming from because I'm kind of.
Thank you.
I love those MasterChef.
Not even like, oh hi, how you doing? It's just like, you know what time it is. I'll call you later.
She actually picks up and speaks to you, not just a case of does your phone do this?
I mean, yeah. And Sarah, it's not like you're on the other side of the world and you don't get to see each other often.
No, nothing like that.
Oh dear.
But Stacey, thank you so much for joining us at dinner time. We'll make sure that you can watch MasterChef. We'll let you go long before that. How is everything over there? How are things over there at the moment with it kind of changing all the time with coronavirus cases and stuff?
Yeah, well, WA specifically is brilliant. So I think next Saturday we move into what is our phase 5, which is pretty much everything except for physical distancing has been removed. However, we're operating in a massive bubble. So our state borders are closed. Internationally, we're closed as well. And then yesterday, they decided that they wanted to try and sign an executive order to even minimise the amount of people that are landing in WA. And then today, from midnight, they're locking down Melbourne because the cases in Melbourne are just growing bigger and bigger. So it's kind of like a weird calm here, but like a bit of escalated chaos in the background as well. It's really odd.
Yeah, that must be bizarre, because it's kind of like you're almost going, right, we're stepping back into normality, and then you're taking a backward step, and it's kind of like, then it kind of adds to that feeling of where is this going and where does it end, I guess, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, for me specifically, I'm here just to play netball. And so for Melbourne to be going into a 6-week lockdown is just another spanner in an already very complicated work. So I think it's just a bit of a mess.
I mean, you touched on, for you personally, talk us through what your situation's been like from the very beginning of coronavirus right through to now.
Yeah, the beginning it sounds so melodramatic, but the first couple of weeks were generally the most traumatic time of my life. Like, it was just really stressful. I just didn't feel like any proactive decisions were being made. I was having to try and make difficult choices with no information whatsoever. I couldn't find a decision that meant I was factoring in my sister, my career, Sarah. So yeah, I just let myself get very stressed and overwhelmed, and spent a lot of time just being an absolute mess on the phone to Sarah, and she was really chill, which was nice.
And how are you feeling about things now? Because obviously it has been a traumatic time, but where's your head at with everything as it stands?
It was really good. Like, we are pretty much back to living a normal life here in WA. Training is back to normal. We're back to our full-time hours. The pay is increased, which is a massive stress reliever, although not back to 100%. But we are just still waiting. We're in a bit of limbo. I think we're in that 4-week countdown, or 25 days I saw today, to the season, but we still don't have a fixture list. We still don't know where we're going to go, if we go into a hub, because we can't travel FIFO like we would normally. We can't do a fly in and fly out season. So there still is a lot of unknown. So we're preparing as normal, but we also have no idea what's going on, especially given the increased cases in Melbourne, and the fact that they're going into a 6-week lockdown.
It's just this kind of limbo land, isn't it? And in terms of training, what does that look like for you guys at the minute?
Training's been all right. We will struggle because we won't be able to get the same number of like practice games that we would normally, because we can't travel. But we're really fortunate because we've got funding from our venue sponsor, so the RAC Arena and City of Perth, so that we're actually being able to host a proper practice match at the arena, and we can have up to a 50% capacity, which is still 7,500. So for the team, it's fantastic preparation, because to be existing in your bubble of just quiet calm to then hopefully get back onto our normal stage in front of thousands of netball fans will be quite overwhelming. So yeah, it is a funny old time, and there was obviously the whole 2-point shot saga as well, just to throw it into the mix. But we pride ourselves on our ability to adapt as netballers. Like, everything's a lesson and a challenge, and we're just trying to approach it in that mindset.
Sorry, go on, Mags.
Sorry, Stacey, you mentioned the pre-season fixture that you had. Is this the one with the All-Stars that you're playing against?
Yeah, so
on the 15th?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do they come from the team, this All-Star team? Are they built up of people from Western Australia so that they can at least then travel within the state to get to this game?
Yeah, absolutely. So it will consist of our 3 training partners. We also have a select group of male training partners as well, and then some experienced state league players. So it'll be a bit of a mixed team, but exactly what we need in terms of competition and quality, so that we're prepared when it comes to round 1.
Brilliant. And spectators as well. How fabulous is that? That will be a sellout.
Yeah, you would hope so. I mean, I think people are just falling into that gap of just finding things to complain about, but it's an incredible opportunity. And we will be the first professional sport to go back in front of a crowd, which I think is quite cool for netball, given how huge football is over here. But yeah, for us to be able to have 7,500 in the arena for a practice game, and then hopefully to have full capacity crowds for our season is amazing. It's pretty exciting.
7,500 spectators just for a pre-season warm-up game against an all-star team. I mean, God, it's just almost like it's just the norm. That's just phenomenal.
It's also great as well, Stacey, like you mentioned, the first to have the spectators there and stuff. In terms of people who maybe don't follow netball, it's going to be talked about for that reason anyway. So interest might grow even further.
Yeah, I hope so. I think although there's been a ton of challenges, I really think it will be quite serendipitous for netball, because for the league over here, it's in a position where we're entering into bargaining for broadcasting deals for next year. The numbers aren't as high as Channel 9 would like them to be, but probably for the majority of the teams, you're not going to be able to get to watch a game, or numbers will be restricted. So hopefully it will mean that more people are tuning in to watch at home, because they can't either be there in person or to look at what this new spectacle of the 2-point shot is. I know that that's Netball Australia's hope anyway.
What are your thoughts on the 2-point shot, Stacey?
She's gone there. She's
Can
gone
of
there.
worms.
She's gone there.
Oh dear, how much do you need this gig?
I was like, have we been given lines about the 2-point shot?
How could you say nothing whilst giving an answer?
Is it MasterChef time?
Yeah. Oh God, sorry. Dinner. I mean, I do think it's a bit stupid, but also for me, the biggest issue around it was the communication and the decision-making process, and the lack of consulting with the game's key stakeholders. Like, I think that's a little bit scary, that they can just throw huge game-changing decisions into the mix at such a late stage before the season. Ultimately, whatever happens, you adjust. Like I said, it really is a netball mentality to just get on with it. But the way in which it was handled, I think, was a little bit underhanded.
So, Stacey, can I ask you then, in your opinion, without putting you on the spot, obviously, do you think that this decision then was ultimately just about the people who pay the money in sponsorship and the coverage, and the players who are the ones who make it happen? Who cares? I
think they thought that maybe we wouldn't notice. Like, there was so much going on. Yeah, I just think they'd be like, teams are just so distracted. There's not very much time. They don't even have a fixture list yet. Like, this is going to be the bottom of the list of issues. But yeah, I just think they thought they could kind of sneak it through, and that people, you wouldn't get those savvy players going out there and finding the headline article from March, I think, when they took the poll, that it was like 2-point shot, no way, never. Yeah.
I think if that is the case, then they've grossly underestimated the players, haven't they?
Yeah, and I think that's a big issue. I think over here especially, like, the level of professionalism and the relationship and the respect that I think the players and the Players Association thought that they had with the league was very high. And so I think the players feel a little bit disrespected by not being included in such a key decision.
Can you see it being reversed or changed then?
Maybe, had the can of worms just not continue to escalate into a bucket and a skip and just get bigger and bigger. Like, it was a huge deal for a couple of weeks, and then it became the fact that we don't have a fixture list, and then now it's about the 6 weeks lockdown in Melbourne. So I'm not sure if it can stay high enough on the list of issues, but it's definitely still being raised.
Yeah, and understandably so. And we will obviously keep an eye on that here on Netball Nation. We won't keep you too much longer, Stacey, but I think it's interesting. Something that we've asked everyone that we've had on during this period. How have you managed to keep yourself fit and focused, and how do you continue to do that? How has it changed?
It probably sounds really bad, but like, I really enjoy training on my own. So even though I couldn't get on a netball court, that isn't necessarily my favourite part of training. Like, I really enjoy like the physical and mental battle of lifting weights in the gym and conditioning, and like the netball is really the fun part. So it was just an opportunity to focus on what I could develop as an individual. Staying strong, doing all of those prehab exercises, bullying my sister and my housemate into trying to get or stay fit with me as well. And just knowing that I'm here for a reason. Like, my purpose to be in Australia is to play netball, and they've always been pretty adamant that Suncorp would be coming back. And so I wanted to and I was pretty adamant that I had some huge goals and challenges that I've set myself for this season, and staying fit and making sure that I was ready to, pick a ball back up when we were allowed to was really important.
Well, I mean that's good then. It bodes well that you don't mind training on your own. I think for a lot of people though, they might have struggled to sort of keep that momentum going. What tips would you give to anyone in that situation?
I think what's been really good for me is that coming into this season, I had set myself some goals, and I'm not really quite so deliberate in what I want to achieve. And my goals weren't, they weren't necessarily fitness test scores or something particularly measurable, but they were attitudes and behaviours and the kind of person that I wanted to be in my environment. And so if I could do that, on my own, motivating myself or my incredibly reluctant sister and my bullied housemate, then when I got back into that professional environment with people who were equally as motivated to be there, it was going to be easy. And so, having those three for me characteristics or some goals in mind were easy for me to keep going and to work towards.
And one thing that was quite a blow for both you and Sarah was the wedding situation, because this wedding we've heard so much about. Honestly, here at Netball Nation, we feel like it's our wedding. So Sarah did tell us, how organised you were with it, but also how well you handled it when you realised, it was going to have to be postponed. What's the latest with it now?
Yeah, I think we realised that there was nothing we could do. Like, obviously the first instance is the pandemic and everybody's health and safety, and that was going to be most important. And then obviously secondary, netball coming in and delaying things and not consulting me individually about when the wedding was going to be. That was rude.
Didn't speak to me either.
No, exactly. But we just had to wait for all the information, and then we were so fortunate because our venue is owned by a member of Sarah's family that they gave us like a window of time that we could move the wedding to, which then meant I could make another Excel spreadsheet and I could contact all of the vendors and find a mutual date that they could all do within the window of time that the venue had given us. So it's been relatively stress-free actually, other than we're still not knowing if it will actually go ahead, but there's no point worrying about the things that we can't control. And my parents moved their flights, which was the other non-negotiable. Sarah was very keen that we didn't move it, and then because I couldn't have this highly meticulously planned wedding, potentially, that we then had to move it again. So we compromised.
But for anybody who's listening to the podcast and not watching on YouTube, the sheer delight in Stacey's face when she spoke about the Excel spreadsheet, it's worth checking it out on YouTube for that.
Enjoy like it.
Sarah looks absolutely delighted about it as well. Well, do you know what? We're obviously rooting for it to go ahead. We want to hear all about this day, because at one point you were going to be having donkeys there and all sorts.
Donkeys are still there.
So, I mean,
donkeys are still in.
Yes, there's still. I can't wait for these photos. Right, before we do let you head off, Stacey, just one more thing. Queensland Firebirds shooter Gretel Buetta has recently announced that she's expecting her first baby. So congratulations, first and foremost. How big a blow is this to the Firebirds? And also, it's opened up this conversation that players are choosing to have children mid-career instead of feeling like they have to wait until they retire. What are your thoughts on this? I open that to all you guys, Maggie and Sarah as well.
In terms of the player part, because we actually had this conversation at training the other day, I think it's fantastic. Like, it obviously does stir up that really awkward question mark as to, whether you would sign a contract, knowing that there's a potential for you to fall pregnant, but also a job's a job. And so I think what's fantastic, especially for players in Australia, is that they're feeling confident and supported enough to make personal choices and not have to sacrifice all the time. So yeah, I think it's fantastic from that perspective.
Do you think the irony of the Suncorp bringing in this 2-point shot is now that someone like Gretel will probably be replaced, not probably, but maybe replaced by an import as opposed to a young up-and-coming Aussie, because they'll go and look for someone who can shoot long?
Yeah, possibly. I guess for them, it gives them a choice and an opportunity to go looking for a player that provides something different. Gretel is fantastic at what she does, but I can't imagine she would describe herself as a long range shooter. But my whole career has been built on taking opportunities as a result of somebody else, missing out or stepping aside. And so you just don't know what youth will be coming through Queensland netball, like chomping at the bit to get on court, when ordinarily you would never take Gretel off.
I'm just interested to know whether or not there are, the same rights extended to the netball players within their contracts for maternity leave. I don't know what's within that contract. So if that's the case, Gretel, she'll go away, she'll have a baby, and there should still be a place available for her should the same rights be linked to your contracts because she's had a baby. It's no different to anybody else. So if that's the case, it would only be somebody that would step up and step in for that maternity period, and then she'd be allowed to step back in. Do they have things like that within the contracts over there, Stacey?
My interpretation of the contract is that we just run year to year, season to season. So if, for example, Gretel's contract ends at the end of the 2020 season, then
that's it.
That's just where it will end. But they would obviously potentially sign in good faith for next year, knowing that she would have been able to have had the baby and rehabbed and be working back towards being fit for the Queensland Fire Bears and the Diamonds. Yeah,
well, personally, I think it's fabulous because back in the good old days, you wanted a child, you had to come to an end with your elite or your international career, and that's hopefully before the shells on your eggs hadn't got too hard boiled. So you walked away from it. But if you look like the New Zealanders, I mean, there's been quite a couple. There's been a few examples of people within New Zealand who have been top of the game, gone away, had the children, and they've come back and they're playing elite and even playing internationally. If you think about Ekanasio and you talk about Kapua, and people like that. So I think power to the females within the sport, that they have enough strength and confidence within themselves about their ability to go away, do this and feel confident, hopefully, that there will be a spot for them when they come back.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely, you can do both. I like that, Max. Thank you very much. What a nice way to round off our chat with Stacey. Thank you so much for joining us all the way from over there, Stacey, particularly at dinner time. We really appreciate it. I'm guessing this is the last time Sarah's going to speak to you today, if you're going to be watching MasterChef later. So do you want to say your farewell as well, Sarah?
Thanks for making time for us.
Yeah.
I know, if you get the girls on more often, I'll be available.
Thank you so much, Stacey. We'll speak to you tomorrow then.
Thank you.
Take care, Stacey. Take care.
Bye-bye. Good luck. Thank you. Bye-bye. Now, to an end, so does the first part of series 2, but we think it's a great time to chat about the big things we've learned during the weirdest of times. So Sarah and Mags, what have you both learned about yourselves?
That I need goals and challenges to get things done. Mainly, I'm not very good at just meandering along and not having set times to get things done by, or set challenges that I've got to get my teeth stuck into. So I kind of knew that already, but I think having such a long period of time where you could just sort of let things float has really taught me that I am better when I set myself some clear challenges. Yeah,
I think it's definitely highlighted a lot of our strengths and weaknesses, don't you, Max?
Oh, without doubt. But I think, in some respects, take on board what Sarah says about having challenges set for herself and some goals. It's also been quite nice to be able to have that time to sit and do nothing as well. But I'm sure that Sarah's life's pretty much like mine, where it's 90 miles an hour every single day. There's no real breathing or wriggle room within your week. And so what I've enjoyed is the fact that I actually know the inside of my house now. And all those jobs that I've been putting off because I had no time to do them have now been done. I've actually got a garden that I'm actually quite proud of. I've that room in the back of the house where you just sort of open it really quickly, the door, throw it in and close it because you don't have time to deal with it. It now has foot space. I can see a carpet. So for me, my goals and challenges were just to do the bits around the home that I never had the opportunity to do, and to have some me time, which is what I've managed to achieve.
And do you think you're both going to carry those lessons that you've learned into normality, albeit as it looks right now?
I'd like to.
Yeah,
to a
and
certain extent.
I think it's probably taught us the value of human interaction and talking to people and keeping connections with people. And I'd like to think that we can carry that forward and look after each other and kind of check in with people a little bit more.
And can we talk about how you think netball's adapted to deal with the challenges that coronavirus has posed, and where you think it could have done better?
Well, I think the adaptation were clear for everybody to see, because the online world of training has just come alive. And the ability to tap into other people's training sessions, the generosity of so many athletes or companies, like NetFit or Sasha Corbin, just putting things out there for the use of anybody and everybody who wants it. The Joe Wicks stuff, it's all been free. Because prior to this, I don't know whether or not they didn't. A lot of them didn't give this stuff away for nothing, but they've realised the value of this togetherness, and we're all in this together. So let's not put a price on it. Let's just give it to anybody, the resources. And tech, people have got a lot better at tech, and I wish I had chairs in Zoom.
Yeah, you'd be raking it in right now. And for you, Sarah, in terms of sport as a whole, what do you think are the biggest positives and negatives to come out of this?
I think as a whole, we've all kind of recognised how much we miss sport and how much we get from it, from a, interpersonal level as well as anything else. But it's also kind of done some good in giving people a little bit of perspective. I think, like what Mag said, like you run around a million miles an hour and everything in your world always seems very, very important. And then something like this makes you realise that actually, winning and losing netball games or football games or whatever it is, isn't the end of the world. It's like there's bigger things. And I think it's always nice to have a little bit of a reminder like that sometimes, that you don't get too bogged down in your own world.
Yeah, it offers you some perspective, doesn't it? It really does.
I suppose, Emma, the other side of the coin with that, and I ditto everything that Sarah's just said there. The other side of the coin is the negative side to people that are involved in sport. The athletes, the people that work within, the television industry that have no jobs, or, the layoffs and the redundancies and all that horrible stuff wrapped up in it. Because it's that balance. I've thoroughly enjoyed having some me time, and every day I now make time for me to have some me time where I'm not on my phone, I'm not checking my messages, and I'm not the slave to my phone. Even if it's only an hour a day, I don't touch it. But then you think about the negative side of this, where it has affected people's livelihoods and people's mental health and their well-being, and for as much as sport isn't the be-all and end-all, sometimes for those people it literally is.
Yeah, I mean, for people that play sport, it's a way of escapism anyway, isn't it? And for spectators as well, it's an escapism thing. And I think we've realised just what a big part it does play in our world. It isn't the be all and end all, but it's crucial for physical and mental health. And I think you're right as well, Mags. And I know, Sarah, I remember you saying it a few episodes ago, just about giving yourself a break, maybe not reading the news all the time, not checking social media all the time, and just having a bit of time for yourself and doing whatever makes you happy, or whatever keeps you company. And one of the things that's been really nice during this time is that you guys have been getting in touch with us and telling us that whether you've been going on a run, whether you've been, you know, training at home or around the house, or, you know, just doing little bits, that you've been listening to us and feeling like you've got a friend. And that's great, because normally we're just three talking heads all looking at each other from our respective homes. And a few of you have actually been in touch. Jeff Bergen's been in touch all the way over in Santa Monica. How cool is that, girls? I know, internationally. He says, hey there, huge fan of the podcast. Think it's great what you're doing to grow the game, both female and male and mixed, through digital mediums. I'm reaching out as I'm the skipper of the Santa Monica Spirits, who are a ladies and mixed netball team of mostly expats out here in Los Angeles. We play right down by sunny Venice Beach, or did before COVID, and played at Netball's US Open Nationals last year, finishing 5th in the mixed bracket. Nice work. Keep up the great work and best of luck for the future. How lovely is that?
It's awesome.
Well, it would have been lovelier, Jeff, if you'd invited us over when this is all over.
Say, when does Jeff need some guest coaches in?
We're there.
We are all over that.
We are more than happy to come and host a podcast from Venice Beach, because I know that.
Can you imagine?
Yeah, yes.
Throw yourselves down in Russell
Yes, I can, Jeff, if we can make that happen, please. Thank you so much for your message. Here's another one as well from Laura Craig, who sent this email, and it says, hi guys, loving the podcast, especially during lockdown. My question for you is, how important do you guys think it is as an elite coach to have been an elite player? So many of the top coaches these days have had glittering playing careers. So for someone that isn't on that level, can they still make it as a coach? And as always, any top coaching tips, especially for those that are younger? What are your thoughts on that, girls?
Yeah, it's an interesting one, and I think what's hard at the minute is like she says, it's difficult when you see a lot of the top Super League coaches and stuff have been players. It must seem like it's a hard pathway to get through if you've not been a player. I think the bonus of having played the game is that you've been around that scenario and you've experienced so much that you kind of just absorb things without knowing it. Like you know how practices run, you know the environment. It's not new to you at all. But on the flip side of that, it's good to get different eyes on things, and you know you don't have to have played the game to understand it. Like a lot, you know, it's like any sport. Some of the top coaches weren't top players, and your understanding is separate to your playing ability. So I think, you know, players are at an advantage, but it's definitely not a necessity for top coaches to have played at the top level.
Would you agree with that, Max?
Yeah, I've just been sat here racking my brains thinking of any of the coaches that have had the top spot that have not been players. And I can't think of the top of my head. It's the transition from having been a player to still wanting to stay within the sport because you have valuable lessons that you've learned and, you know, and valuable experiences that you can share with others. So it isn't unheard of, I'm sure, and I'd love this person to be the first person that can do it. You've just got to set your stall out, and if that's what you want to do, you make sure that you align yourself to the right people at the right time. So if you're doing community participation netball at the moment, well then step away from that and find yourself a performance team. And you go in at the bottom level if you have to do. You know, you do one of the younger age groups, or you just offer your services for nothing just to be around. And then as your confidence grows and your knowledge grows of the game at the performance level, then you start dipping your toe in and taking on some responsibility. There's lots and lots of seminars and courses around the country, and then the qualifications that you then need to gain. It can be done. I don't see why it can't be done. And I think like
some of the top male coaches, like Dan Ryan obviously played, but people like Mike Greenwood, like he never played.
He didn't play. No.
I'm not sure about Rob Wright in Australia, whether he played or not. But you know, for the lack of us being able to think of a female example, there's men out there who have got top jobs and not necessarily played the game. So
internationally. I mean, Lisa Alexander. I mean, I know she played elite, but I don't think she played for Australia. Do you know, Sarah? I don't think she played for Australia, but I know she maybe played decent. You know,
I think for the people kind of coming through the coaching pathway who haven't been players. I think it's about trying to get in an elite environment and understand what it is, because it feels different, it looks different, it operates differently to a normal club environment. And I think a level of understanding of that is helpful for getting into those roles, because you understand what players do, you understand how sessions tend to run and structure and content and things like that. So there's always opportunities to do that as well, like just go and watch sessions or shadow coaches and things like that. And I think that's a great place to start.
Yeah, be a nuisance and put yourself forward.
There we go, Laura. Some top tips there from Mags and Sarah. Thank you for that, girls. And remember, you can always keep in touch with us, get in touch with us at Netball Nation if you've got any questions that you want to put to the girls or any comments at all. Now, we've made it to the final section of the show. The bit you've all been waiting for, the ANZ score predictions. Another week of tight games with one so tight the two teams literally couldn't be separated. So, should we crack on, girls, and get through them?
Let's do it.
Now, before we start reading these out, in terms of predictions, currently as it stands, it's 5-3 to Sarah from the last set of results. So it's you putting your hand in the kitty, Mags, or baking us more brownies.
Oh.
So let's have a look at this then. So Mystics v Tactics. So Mags, you went for Tactics. Sarah, you went for Mystics. And it was 47-42 to Mystics. Well done, Sarah.
It was.
Tick, one for you. Ting. You both went for Pulse in Pulse v Steel, and you were both correct. So there we go. 2 for you, 1 for you, Mags. And in the next one, Pulse and Magic, again, both went for Pulse. Both got that right. Well done. Finally, Mags, you went for Stars, and Sarah, you went for Magic. And as we know, it was 46-46. So tick, tick again. Hang on. Have you just got 4 out of 4 there, Sarah?
Well, if we're counting the draw as one, then yeah.
I think it's only fair that we
I think it's only fair. It's only fair.
Mags needs that one to up a points a bit. So
that's why I'm saying it's only fair.
So how does that stand now then? You got 4, Sarah, so you're on 9. And I think based on my maths, you're on 6 there, Mags. Does that sound right?
It sounds good enough. It's
not bad.
Enough.
You're edging up. Now, Magic and Stars played out the first ever draw in the competition. Are you surprised by that, girls, considering there's been so many close games?
No, not really. I mean,
it was on the books. It was ready to happen, wasn't it? With one of them.
Yeah, and the ANZ usually plays to a result, but because they're in this condensed season and with loading restrictions and things, they're just allowing draws to stand. It was an interesting game. It would have been an absolute nightmare to coach that.
Yeah.
Because Magic went up massively first quarter. Stars came back. Stars were up by like 6 at 3/4 time, and then they end up drawing. And yeah, it was a bit of a roller coaster.
Do you think there'll be a happier of the two teams?
Magic.
Yeah, I think Magic will be happier because when you pull back 6 in the last quarter, you've got to be happy with that. But they also did have a chance to win it, so it's just one of those. It was just such an odd game that.
I suppose it was great from a spectator's perspective, though, because as a coach and a player, not a nice place to be, and especially as I think Magic had the opportunity to win it in the dying seconds, if not for an attacking contact, like 2-4.
Yeah.
She put that poor girl.
I know, but I mean, what I've enjoyed about watching the ANZ so far is how happy everyone looks all the time. The players, like. I've never seen players look so happy on a netball, so happy to be there. And then they all draw, and like sometimes everyone's just fuming with a draw. No one's happy about it. They're just all like, "Oh, draw, brilliant! Oh my God, we've lost, brilliant. We're playing netball."
We're just happy to be here.
Literally, people just happy to be there. Coaches just look serene. I would have been like absolutely losing my mind. They're just like, "Yeah, we've just got an 8-goal lead away."
Woohoo!
We're going to claw back 6 goals now. Okay.
Amazing.
Well, good for them for keeping up that positivity. Now, Pulse is still looking incredible despite having back-to-back games, but they do have their weaknesses. So, girls, what could opposing teams do in training to combat them, do we think?
Oh God, and this is me being super critical because I'm a Pulse fan through and through. I think at the moment the one weakness they have is when jury's one-on-one with certain shooters. That's just for me. You know, if they can expose that and pull Rory out of the circle and just leave Jury on her own, she's been punished on more occasions than not. So it's a case of practicing that in training and making sure that you keep goal defence busy. That's for me, that's 1 point.
Yeah, I mean, it's a new defensive circle, isn't it? And it looks different because last year Pools had Sulu Fitzpatrick, who, when you
Awesome.
watch her and Phoenix Caracca at Mystics doing a great job, but she's a very different player to Kelly Drury. So I think, they're still finding their feet a little bit in the defensive circle. And I think generally to beat Pools, I was impressed with Steele. Steele made Pools play well. Like to have a game with 100% shooting throughout the game for Pools and still only win by, what did they win by, 4, 6, something like that. Like Steele pushed them. But I think you basically need to put them under pressure consistently all the way through court, because they've got so many good players that, you know, you can like nullify Amelia Ann and then, you know, Tiana Matura will step up. So it's like 7 players need to be on it, and that's difficult for teams to do.
And can I just put a shout out for Jenna O'Connell in that game? Because for me, I've always had my doubts about her and her being robust enough and her hands being safe enough. She always looks a little bit, you never know whether she's quite going to pull it in or catch it. And I thought Jenna O'Connell stepped up amazingly in that Pulse Steel game and did an amazing job. She really impressed me in that game.
I would host a round of applause here, but I'm clinging onto my laptop for dear life. So feel free to give Jen a round of applause between yourselves. There we go. And Pulse made history as well by shooting 100% for the whole game. How difficult is that on that level, girls?
Easy.
Yeah, easy, because that's like, that's why I don't play shooter. Leave the princesses to do their stuff.
Not a challenge at all.
It's pretty phenomenal. I mean, like shooters are obsessed with stats and things like that, and they like to be like, oh, I shot 100% that quarter. So for them to shoot 100% the whole game, but both shooters to do it is pretty mad. And then, like I said, for them for it to still be a tight game when you're shooting at 100%, it means that, you know, they were put under pressure.
And we're talking about, you know, some mid-range and long-range shots here as well, not just the little ones under the post, who some shooters would say are more difficult, the ones under the post, than the ones that are taken from a distance. And the balance of shooting as well. I mean, usually you've got a high percentage taken by your shooter, but they were so balanced with either goal attack, goal shooter, fearless, put them up. So wonderful to watch.
Amelia Anna Canasio at the minute is kind of in that, you know, just untouchable zone. Like, she just looks so confident, so sure of herself. I would be amazed if come the end of ANZ, one of the Suncorp teams doesn't mysteriously get an injury that they need her to replace.
You heard it here first.
Watch this space. Right then.
I don't know anything, by the way, I'm making stuff up.
Well, have you got a contract out on someone?
One thing you do know, or you seem to guess very well, is how the fixtures are going to go, Sarah. So let's get through these. I was going to say that. Don't worry, Mags. We'll make sure Sarah goes first. Pulse v Steel. What are you saying, Sarah?
I'm still going to go Pulse.
Are you agreeing with that, Mags?
Yeah, even though they were pushed this week, absolutely.
Okie dokie. Right, you've got an opportunity to go Steel here in the next game. Steel v Stars.
I will go Steel with that.
And I'm going to go Stars.
Okay, one each. Stars v Magic, Sarah?
See, this is a rerun of this week, and I think Stars.
You're in Stars. Mags, what are you saying?
I'm saying Stars because they will have had a week to tidy up things that they weren't doing particularly well, which was the transition of the ball through. So I'm going Stars.
Okie dokie. Tactics v Mystics.
I'm going to go Mystics again. You know, Mystics haven't let me down so far, and they are probably the team that people are most excited to watch. You know, their defence end has been incredible. Their attack end, everyone's really excited about because they're really young and like play with a lot of flair. But yeah, I'm going to stick with them.
They haven't let you down so far, but have you just jinxed it? Mags, what are you going with?
Do you know, I had in my mind, it's the battle of the defensive circles this game, because both defensive circles for me are just awesome. And then I think about Toyeva and I just think, I love that girl. Her feeding and her touch on the ball, I love her. but I'm going to go tactics just to mix it up a little bit.
Okie dokie. And finally, tactics v magic. Sarah?
Oh, tactics would be favourite, but I don't know. I'm going to go magic just because I don't know. I just want them to get a good win. They look like a team that they just need a big win for confidence and they'll be flying. So,
and they've got the players to have that big win. It's just not happening for some reason.
Yeah. So I'm going to give them that.
Are you going magic as well, Max?
No, I'll go tactics as well, just to
mix it up a bit.
Yeah.
There we go. Your predictions are in. Thank you, guys. Now, before we head off on our mid-season break, we've had a tweet from Matthew Battens, who has a very good question regarding the 2-point shot rule in Super Netball. Here we go again, girls. He asked, well, at My Netball Nation, after the controversial introduction of the 2-point shot to the 2020 season, Gretel Boetta's amazing news provides the first opportunity for a Suncorp Super Netball team to recruit a player with full knowledge of this rule change. Who would you select?
Well, I'm thinking about our own girls here in England, because they're going to struggle to get them from anywhere else. And I'm thinking there's two teams I looked at. It's either Manchester Thunder shooters or even one of Sarah's shooters. So for me, the people that might get a knock on the door could be Ellie Cardwell, could be Catherine Turner, or it could be maybe Ella Clark. Because I can't see where else they're going to get a shooter at this stage that can slot in.
Sarah?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting, isn't it? Because, like Stacey said, we don't know what they've got coming through. So we're not sure, what Queensland girls are coming through in this instance. I think it'll be interesting to see how this 2-point shot plays out, because there's a potential for more imports to get drafted in because of this. And I think, like I was saying about Amelia Ann, I'd be surprised if, come the end of ANZ in, I think it's August time, that you've not got some Kiwi shooters heading that way as well after the end of their league. So yeah, I think English shooters will be under threat. Potentially a couple of Caribbean girls. Shanice Beckford's a good long range shooter from Jamaica, and then the Kiwi girls. But it'll be interesting because Australia are in danger of sort of getting to the point where they've got more imports than Australians in some teams. So it'll be interesting to see whether they want to keep doing that to try and, expose this rule, or if they want to sort of develop their own.
Well, watch this space. Thank you, Matthew Battens, for the question you've sent in. That is it for another show. As always, if there's anything you want us to cover in future episodes, just like Matthew, Jeff and Laura did, get in touch via social media or head to hello@mynetballnation.com. Now, we're off on our summer break, but don't worry, we're going to be back in August to round off the ANZ tour and talk about the launch of Super Netball. Before we round this one up, girls, have we got any shout-outs?
I have.
Yes! Yes! It's only taken episode 18.
I know, last episode, and I've got some.
Go on.
Well, first of all, to Hannah Knight, who announced her retirement yesterday. Just incredible player. We played under 21 World Youth Cup together in 2005. Yeah, that's how long ago it was.
Showing your age there, Sarah.
I know. Well, that means she's as old as me. So yeah, we played that together. But then she's just had a phenomenal career. I think 4 Super League titles, captained Wasps for the last few years, and I think it was a testament to her as a person. The sort of outpouring of love from everyone yesterday to just recognise her contribution to Super League and how much she'll be missed. Although no shooters are going to miss her.
Well, we wish her the very best. Max, do you have any? Do you have any more shout outs, Sarah?
I might do, but just give Max a minute.
Okay, go on.
I'm just thinking now that we're getting to that time where it's coming to schools, those that are still in school, but it's coming to the official school break. And, most families are not going to be able to get away on holidays. I think it's staycation time for most people. So just be safe, look after yourselves, and just enjoy your summer break, kids. And hopefully come September, everything's back to normal, or as near to normal as possible.
Absolutely. And Jeff, if you're listening at Venice Beach, hopefully we'll be seeing you soon as
well. Yeah. We'll set off driving now.
Yeah.
Because we can't fly.
Max will bring some brownies and we're off. Sarah, do you have any other shout outs?
No, I think that was it.
Right. Well, thank you. Thank you so much. Do you know what, girls? It's been fun, this, hasn't it? I know we haven't physically been able to see each other. I think Sarah secretly enjoyed that, but it's been great. It has been brilliant. Just, it's been a genuine, this is how sad my life is, what I'm about to say, a highlight of my week as well, just being able to chat with you girls. And it's a bit like therapy, you know, just having a laugh and talking about stuff that matters to you and obviously matters to you, the listeners. So thank you so much. Thanks for joining us and listening to Netball Nation. It is, of course, powered by Netball UK. And don't forget, we're giving every listener and viewer the chance to get 10% off at Netball UK. Plus, if you use the code with an order before the end of July, one lucky winner will get the entire cost of their order refunded. Save now and you could get your order on us. Now, the only way to get the code is to head over to mynetballnation.com and click on the banner on our homepage. Have a belting week and we will see you next month. Thank you so much, girls.
You're welcome. Take care, everybody.
You.
Bye.
This is Netball Nation.